The Genesis Open begins tomorrow at 1:30 on Golf Channel.
Welcome back. You're watching MSNBC, and we're learning new details this morning about the FBI interviewing Michael Flynn just days after he became National Security Advisor. NBC Justice correspondent Pete Williams is following this angle of the story for us. Pete, what exactly have you learned here?
Well, that the FBI did talk to him at the White House a couple of days after he became the National Security Advisor, shortly after the president was inaugurated, and they wanted to know about his conversation with the Russian ambassador, the conversation that he held before Mr. Trump became the president. This is the conversation, of course, that eventually led to Mr. Flynn's decision to step down, because he denied two officials at the White House that they had talked about sanctions in that call. So the FBI wanted to know about that discussion. They did interview him, and the question, of course, here is, could he face any legal jeopardy for what he told the agents? It's a crime to lie to FBI investigators, but what I'm told by two officials is it doesn't appear likely that the conversation with the FBI is going to lead to any charges.
Interesting. I want to bring our panel back. This is so much about who knew what when. Right. I want to share on Friday, while on Air Force One, President Trump did a quick interview with reporters, and he was asked about the Mike Flynn investigation. Take a look.
What do you make of reports that General Flynn had conversations with the Russians about sanctions before you were sworn in?
I don't know about it. I haven't seen it. What report is that?
I haven't seen it. Reporting that he talked to the ambassador to Russia before you were inaugurated about sanctions, maybe trying to...
I haven't seen that. I'll look at that.
He'll look into that. What do you make of this, Charlie? Is President Trump putting himself in a more and more dangerous position, feigning, I'm not sure, I don't know, if it's proven that he did have this kind of information for the past few weeks and allowed the American people and maybe his vice president to be lied to?
Yeah, that's why the unraveling thing here, by the way, it will be a felony level media malpractice if at the press conference later today somebody does not ask the president this question: when did you know that this conversation took place? And perhaps a follow-up question, okay, then why did you decide not to tell Mike Pence? Why did it take you so long to react to this? But what did you know? When did you know it? All of those things, they have to be asked today, and he has not even provided a reasonably plausible explanation for that timeline.
We don't know that he'll be asked that. We don't know who he's going to call upon today.
They might have Breitbart.com ask a question.
Exactly.
Which is highly likely. What position is President Trump putting himself in if he continues to stay on this? This is just about leaking. It's almost... Is he poking the bear here? You know, Joe, you said it earlier, and Joe Scarborough has said over and over, you don't want to mess with the judicial system. You do not want to mess with national security or intelligence. They're going to get you.
Yeah, I said, look,
those are big bears.
Yeah, I said this is a fight that he can't win, and he can't keep playing dumb. Look, Mike Pence can say, I'm Dwight Schrute, right, from The Office. Nobody knows. Nobody likes me.
Nobody wants to be Dwight Schrute. Nobody wants to be Dwight Schrute.
But Pence can play that role. The president can't do that. At some point, he's got to take responsibility and say, look, either I'm incompetent and I have no idea what's going on in my own White House, or I was directing Michael Flynn, or I was directing some of these communications, or I thought that this was an okay idea. And that's what he's eventually going to be faced with. He can only play ignorant for so long.
Okay, I know we're going to take a break, but Charlie, we don't know what those communications were potentially during the campaign, if members of the Trump team were speaking to Russian officials during the campaign. If, in fact, they were, if there were communications, what in the world happens?
Well, that's what we don't know, unless there's an independent investigation here. What I think is happening is that with this intelligence insurrection that's going on right now is almost on a drip basis, saying, okay, by the way, we know that you did this. We have this information. You know, last week we found out that, in fact, we have the transcripts of the conversations. So that there's got to be real concern on the part of Republicans in Congress and in the White House. What do they know? And if they know something that's damaging, it's pretty obvious it's going to come out one way or another, right?
Tom Friedman said the election hacking is at the caliber of a Pearl Harbor or a 9/11. Do you agree with that?
I completely agree with that. Look, we've been hearing drips and pieces of this for a very, very long time. It's one thing, look, it's one thing for Rex Tillerson to have business connections. But if you have members of a campaign staff talking to security agents and KGB and FSB with a foreign enemy of the United States, and then a president praising that country and threatening the existence of NATO, that is dangerous. That is a 9/11 danger to the sovereignty sovereignty of the United States, and it falls right on the desk of President Trump.
We just don't know yet. I mean, if in fact, I mean, there may be evidence that will put it at some kind of that sort of a level. We're not there yet, and I think it's important, you know, don't get ahead of our skis, don't get ahead of the facts. We still have a lot of anonymous sources out there, but there's no question about it. This is serious, and it's not going away.
And they're not going to stop.
All right, the question is, can Democrats rally enough support to launch this kind of independent investigation into General Flynn's calls with Russia? Senator Debbie Stabenow joins me next. But before that, I want you to check out the market's all-time high.